Hey everyone, welcome to the Redwood Real Estate Report. I'm Annalise von Borstel, broker-owner at Hyperion Humboldt Realty.
And I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans. You can find this podcast every month, right at the beginning of the month, on YouTube, larsonhomeloans.com, and Podbeam. So look us up, like, and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
So Ben, do you want to start us off with your market keys of the month?
I would love to.
All right, you go right ahead. What do you got?
I have our normal ones, such as interest rates, spread, app volume, things like that. But then we're going to drill down into some local details that I think will shed a little more light on our market as it pertains to our northern coast of California and Humboldt County. So to start with, our interest rates started the month at 6.74%, and we ended the month at 6.71%. So they've been pretty steady through the course of the month and haven't had any volatility really over the course of the month.
Heading in the right direction.
Heading in the right direction, and no volatility is something new. We've had a ton of volatility over the last year. So we may have started the month at 6.74, ended the month at 6.71 last year, but in between there was a 0.5% or a 0.25% adjustment, or fluctuation through there. So that's a good sign. Market stability, always a good sign, because it lends itself to predictability over the course of the month. So that's a good thing. And our spread, like we spoke about last month. If you don't understand spread, go back and watch our podcast last month. But our spread historically, again, is around 1.5, 1.6. And right now we started the month at 2.5, ended the month with a dive in the treasury rate. The 10-year treasury bond dove down. I mean, we're talking 3/4%, but our spread ended at 2.7. So if we're looking at a slight decline in interest rate, but an increase in spread, that speaks to the likelihood of rates declining in the next month.
That's all I needed to hear.
That's exciting, right? And it couldn't come at a better time as we enter the spring purchase season for the likelihood of even a slight decrease in interest rates to result in an increase in purchase or even refinance application volume. So that brings me to my next point, application volume. It's been pretty steady throughout the year. Year over year, a slight increase over last year, which is great because in January we saw a slight decrease, but now we're seeing a slight increase. So the anticipation, the excitement in the market is all speaking to an increase in volume for 2025. So that's great. Now, to my last market key, we're going to go to local interest. So this is where I break down our national numbers, which are most of my market keys are based off of national numbers like interest rates, application volume, all those things. Now we're going to go into local interest. So a major differentiator for me in that arena is private note or hard money loans. I've seen a dramatic increase in demand for things like that. So those are loans where someone who's self-employed or someone who has had tax issues in the past or any of those types of things can still get money to buy a house if they have sufficient down payment or sufficient equity in their property or the property they're buying based off a down payment to still get a loan. There's people in our community who will lend you money at a reasonable interest rate. Usually it's around 10%. On a short-term basis to get you the property you want. Whether you want to buy or rehab a property or whatever that may be, we have options for you. That's something I do. It's something that there's a few other people in the community that do. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, in combination with the traditional mortgage application volume increasing, we're seeing a bigger spike in the hard money or private money loans, that the demand for those loans.
That's good to know. I know there's a lot of self-employed people in our community who could take advantage of those alternative lending options.
I believe it's the largest per capita of anywhere in the country. Actually,
is that true?
Along with artists. We have artists and self-employed. I think that Humboldt County is the largest per capita for self-employed people and artists And that's based off of IRS tax records. So that's a pretty legit benchmark.
We're just a creative bunch. Well, I can now speak to my market keys, and then we can delve a little bit more into that.
Sounds good.
For me, I'm going to actually talk more about our local numbers for the first quarter. The California Association of Realtors kind of lags a little bit while they're compiling all the information from the different communities to get their quarterly data updated. So I'll talk more about that next month. But for now, average sale prices in Humboldt are up to 452,500, which is down about 2.25% from the first quarter of 2024. Units sold, though, are up 6.2% for the quarter, and active listings are up 15%. So to me, that sounds like it's a great time to be a buyer. And in fact, the absorption rate in the county is over 5 months, so that's indicating that it's a balanced market.
I have a question, if you don't mind. When you say units sold, does that include multifamily, or is that, what does that mean?
These are residential, single family technically, but they may have ADUs.
Okay.
And they could have up to 4 units.
So would that skew those numbers, or
would it skew the numbers?
Yeah, because you said per unit. Does that mean per parcel number, or
per listing?
Okay.
Yeah. So the listing could have a single family home. It could go up to 4 units.
Gotcha.
In our local MLS, when an agent has a listing, if it has multiple units, they can list it as a multiple unit listing, which would be in a separate bucket, if you will. And I can definitely go more into those different categories in a future podcast. We've got multi-unit, commercial lease, business opportunities. So our MLS records all of that data. And in some cases, a listing might qualify for more than one bucket. But in this case, I'm talking about residential, technically single family, is the best way to consider it. But some of those single family homes may have ADUs.
Thank you.
Okay. So the absorption rate is indicating that it's a balanced market right now in Humboldt in general. Eureka is doing a little bit better than the county average, with first quarter prices up just over 5%. We're at 399,000 on average in Eureka. Units sold, that's number of listings sold, is up almost 14%, and active listings is up 16.5%.
So I want to take it back to absorption rate, because I think that's something that's misunderstood a lot.
Well, I like to talk about the absorption rate quite a bit, and sometimes I call it the inventory index. I talked about it last month too. It's a measure of supply and demand, and the number itself is the number of months it would take for all the inventory to sell at the current rate of sales if no new inventory came on the market. Right. So between 5 and 6 months is considered a balanced market. So at a little over 5 months, we're at a balanced market.
That's where we're at right now.
That's where we're at as of the end of March.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is different from where we've been, correct? Or
well, definitely during COVID, we were down to below 2 months in some cases, and in some markets we're still seeing some pretty significantly low absorption rates. But Humboldt County is a huge county. There's a ton of different markets. Right. You know, when you look at Southern Humboldt versus Arcata, McKinleyville, it's just a very different market, but all of those listings are clumped in together when we're just talking about Humboldt averages.
Right. I remember during COVID, it was, we have 475 listings, and 250 of those were in Alder Point, which was cannabis properties that couldn't be offloaded. So yeah, I mean, those aren't exact numbers, but
the point stands. And remember last month, Ben, we were actually talking about how Arcata only had 12 sales between January and February.
Right.
Well, in March, Arcata only had 2 sales.
2 sales.
And one of them was a fixer in Manila area, and it sold for $163,000. So that means that the average sale in Arcata for the month of March was $281,000.
Right.
Down 60% from the same time last year.
Right.
So again, just bringing up that point that 1 month does not make a trend.
Right. As far as real estate value means nothing, because you have a fixer that sold and only 2 sales. So you could have had a home, say if that fixer didn't sell, but yet a pristine home in prime time location sold for 1.2, right? You would have had a 40% swing up. rather than the swing the other way.
Yeah. So it's always worth diving a little bit
Right.
deeper when you're talking about your own unique. So we're going to keep a close eye on the Arcata market as spring heats up, because I think we'll see that average tick quite a bit up in the next coming months. McKinleyville market has had 2 strong months in a row with increases in price. The median in McKinleyville right now is $507,000 for the year, and McKinleyville also has the lowest absorption rate across all the major Humboldt markets at just 2.16 months for the quarter, beating out Arcata's 2.92.
That's interesting. And McKinleyville historically has had the most friendly builder market, and that's what's led it to be the second largest residential market in the county compared to Eureka.
Well, moving on, prices in Fortuna are flat for the quarter. They're at 400,000, but inventory's down in Fortuna and demand is up. So if you're a seller in Fortuna, you're probably feeling pretty good right now. That being said, when it comes to negotiations in general, sellers have been far more accommodating countywide than they have in recent past. The sold to list ratio in Humboldt was below 90% for both January and February, and it's now back up to 91.5%, which is still low historically speaking. But if you're a realtor, it's a good conversation to have with your seller. As a certified pricing strategy advisor, I definitely want to assure you that overpricing your home is not an effective way to maximize your proceeds, right? You don't want to allow a cushion for negotiations. It's really ideal to price your home appropriately for the market, because if you're overpriced, that home's going to linger on the market. Those days on the market start adding up. And honestly, I have worked with some buyers who, when they see days on the market above the average or, just high numbers, they automatically say something must be wrong with that house, and they won't even schedule a showing. So pricing your home from the start effectively for the market is really your best case. So, let your realtor guide you, if you're a seller, on the most effective strategy based on your unique home and your goals.
And I would caution buyers that shy away from houses that have days on market. Those could be a big opportunity. And I've seen it more times than not that people who do shy away, or they see it as there must be something wrong, do your due diligence, seek it out, do your homework. Maybe it's the perfect home. Just because it's been on the market for a little bit longer than its neighbors or whatever it is, it doesn't mean there's an insurmountable obstacle that could prevent you from getting the home of your dreams.
Well, and all the numbers are kind of showing right now, again, that it's a pretty comfortable time to be a buyer. I know interest rates aren't down extremely below what they have been, but they are down slightly. Prices are down in general in Humboldt, and inventory's up. So if you're a buyer, now is a great time to just go and take a look at some houses with your agent. And if you want to know, if you're a homeowner and you want to know how your home compares, talk to a Hyperion Humboldt agent about a complimentary market analysis for your unique home.
That's a great point. And something I'd like to bring up is what we'd like to do at Larson Home Loans is maximize your buying potential. And we're coming up on that time of year where you're filing your taxes. If you're a self-employed person, or if you're somebody who got a promotion or a raise, or just any of there's a whole variety of things, whether you went from commission to salary or salary to commission or 1099 versus W-2, whatever it may be. You need to reach out to your lender to get an updated approval this time of year when your taxes are due. And we can also, give you some guidance on if you made this, then this, or, if you want to buy this, then you need to claim this, or those types of scenarios we can help you out with. So reach out to your lender, reach out to your realtor, find out how to maximize your potential in this market. Thanks, Annalise. So that was pretty fun. So not only do we go into our market keys of the month and break down things for you, we also get into a little bit about what's going on in the community. So if you're a buyer from out of the area and you want to know what's going on in Humboldt County, there's so much this county has to offer you guys that we want to shed a little light on that as well. So Annalise, what do you have for us this month?
Well, as far as community events go, I definitely want to plug the Eel River Expo happening on April 19th down at the River Lodge in Fortuna. This is a Cow Trout and Rotary Club of Eureka co-hosted event where we are celebrating everything to do with the Eel River. We're going to have some great speakers. We have 25 exhibitors and activities for families and kids. Our keynote speaker will be Congressman Jared Huffman at 1 o'clock. And we have a number of other great speakers as well, including Supervisor Michelle Bushnell, Salvador Rico, who's the ambassador to the UN for Rotary on the Climate Change Action Committee. So that'll be a great activity.
Sounds like a star-studded event
It's
there.
going to be fun.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be great. This is the inaugural event. We're hoping to have it year after year. So come on down, check it out. Enjoy the day.
And our rivers here are such a great local resource. If you're a fisherman, such as myself, where I love to catch steelhead or salmon or trout, or if you're just enjoy swimming or
paddleboarding,
kayaking, whatever it may be, our rivers are a tremendous resource here on the coast. And as far as other things we have going on, we have the Rotary Parade coming up, a huge, event coming on. I mean, it's been going on for decades, as far as I can remember as a little kid. If you have rhododendrons in your yard that you want to donate, reach out to Old Town Rotary if you want to, if you're willing to sacrifice some of your blooms for the cause. But it's really such a good event.
Ben, when is that?
It's coming up on April 26th is the day. And it's such a good time. Get your family out. You got to get up a little bit early in the morning, but if you get up, you set your chairs out on the sidewalk and watch that parade coming in. A lot of local businesses donate and raise a lot of money for the local Rotary groups that do a lot of good in this area. So that's coming up April 26th. And mark your calendars. Get out and watch the parade and have a good time.
And if you know of another community event coming up this month, go ahead and put it in the comments and share with us so we can make sure more people know about that. And circling back a little bit to a conversation we were having about alternative lending options, I wanted to mention that actually just today before I came here, I was meeting with some folks from the city of Eureka about a program they're calling Eureka Builds It. And what this program is going to be a line of credit available for homeowners who want to build an ADU on their property but may not qualify for conventional lending or like a HELOC. So they can borrow from the city, get their building done, and then refinance their property with the new ADU. And then those funds that they originally borrowed go back into this revolving line for the next homeowner to borrow and do the same thing. So the city's hoping to get this program launched this summer. They're aiming for July, so let's be optimistic about that. But in the meantime, on the city website, you can actually go into their housing element and find the Eureka Builds It wait list. If you're interested in putting an ADU on your property, get your name on that list and maybe take advantage of that.
And if you are planning on that, get your name on that list right now. Go get your name on the list, because if you're not on the list now, you're going to be 6 months, 9 months, 12 months out. And believe me, that funding dries up quicker than you would imagine. And here's the thing with the non-conventional side of this. So we can do a thing called cash flow financing, where if you're going to build an ADU, or you're going to put another unit, a secondary unit up on your property, and right now you may not have sufficient income, or you may have just qualified to buy the house you're currently in, there's a good chance that the additional funds that ADU would bring in to your taxable income would qualify you. So many of our first-time home buyers, they buy a house because they want to make a smart financial decision for their future. Adding that ADU when it comes to qualify for that second home, that extra income from the second unit versus just the income you would get from moving out and renting out that primary unit is huge. That can make all the difference in you qualifying for your dream home versus not qualifying for that home. So get in line, get your name on the list, contact me for your financing, contact Hyperion Humboldt Realty to be your realtor, and we'll make your dreams come true.
I appreciate how passionate you are about this. I think that psychologically there's a hurdle that people think that building is harder for them. It's a big project for them to take on, and they may not be aware that Eureka is actually a designated pro-housing city, and they've made a lot of the permitting process, the building, a lot more accessible to people. So now's maybe a good time to explore those options.
And the city is identifying builders who are pre-approved. So you're going to have resources available to you.
Well, with that, I think I'd really like to plug my featured listing for the month.
Let's hear it.
I've got a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,442 square foot single family home on Humboldt Hill. It's 6257 Pryor Street. It's beautiful. It's been very well maintained, and it's on a green belt. So when you walk out your back door, you do not see any neighbors. All you see is pastures and forests, beautiful barn in the distance. And the property also includes a barrel sauna. So you get all of that for $494,000.
That sounds like a good deal.
It is. So that's all for me this month.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Annalise. And I really hope that our viewers enjoyed our second installment of the Redwood Real Estate Report. Remember, you can find us on Podbean, YouTube, LarsonHomeLoans.com. And I believe Annalise posted us on the Hyperion Humboldt YouTube page. So you can find us all over the place. Please like and subscribe and comment if you want different market keys. If you want any topic covered, let us know. We're happy to cover it. We're happy to do the research for you, bring it to you every month, and we'll be here. We're coming back every month. And I think next month you'll see some studio improvements. I've been working diligently in my workshop to make that happen. We're really enjoying putting the show on for you guys, and we hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. So this is Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans. You can find me at larsonhomeloans.com. 13 Ben Larson at Gmail, 707-321-7094 if you want to get a hold of me on phone.
And I'm Annalise von Borstel with Hyperion Humboldt Realty, helping you root and rise at HyperionHumboldt.com.
Thank you once again, and we'll see you next month.